What's up, everybody? So we're back out in the shop with another daily vlog, and guys, it's time to go ahead, do the acid etch on this, do the stone wash, make the handle scales. So we're going to be doing some cool handle scales, and we'll actually talk about that when we get to that step. But I did want to hit on one little subject here because I was asked by one of the viewers on the last video if I was going to go ahead and get rid of this kind of straw color finish on here and put it back to a nice silver finish before I do the acid etch. And yes, we are going to do that. So we're going to hit it with the Scotch-Brite belt, go ahead, get a nice finish on it, and then transition to the acid etch. For the process with the acid etching, we'll talk during that. We'll talk during the handle scale part. So let's jump into it. Let's get some stuff knocked out. So what we're going to go ahead and do here is take that finish that we had on there from tempering it and get that completely off. We want to go back to a nice, smooth, clean finish before we go ahead and get into the acid etch phase. Of course, this knife would look beautiful if we just left it just like that, but I want to acid etch it. My acid is a 50-50 mixture of ferrochloric acid that you can actually buy from Radio Shack. I'll leave a link for that in the description. And then the other 50% is distilled water. It needs to be distilled water, not just tap water. And then I make sure that it is roughly room temperature, so about 80 degrees before I start acid etching. It just does a better job at etching. And then because this knife is so long, I do have to turn it on its side to be able to get the whole entire thing etched, and that's why I did that. So this is the first bath of etching. And what we want to go ahead and do is just start kind of wiping some of this off so we can actually see how well it etched, if there's different little weird spots that haven't etched as well. And there's typically going to be on your first etch. So what I do is I'll just go through, kind of rub it off with the gloves. These gloves are a little textured. And then I'll take a paper towel and distilled water and clean it off completely. And then we'll go ahead and go back into the etching solution for a second dip. Now, you can do 2, 3, 4 of these if you want, but for this one, you know, 2 is going to work pretty good, at least I hope. And then we're going to go back on the side again to make sure the whole knife is submerged in the acid. And I'll tell y'all, the reason why I submerge the whole knife is because if you have just a portion sticking up, the acid will eat away a little bit and they'll leave a little difference in thickness right at that line where the etching was on the blade. As you can see here, the etchant on this particular one went very smooth. Now with our stonewash mix, what we want to go ahead and do is spray a little bit of WD-40 in there. This will do two things. It makes it to where it lets the rocks move freely, but it also puts a coat on the blade and keeps it from rusting. And we're just going to shake it and then shake it some more, and then when I'm done doing that, I'm going to shake it a little bit more. I will eventually get a tumbler of some sort to make this a lot easier. But whenever we pull it out, it's coated in WD-40 and the little bitty rocks that are in there. You kind of just have to shake those off, and I'll clean them off a little bit and then go ahead and wipe it all down with a paper towel. Make sure it's all good. Got to get all the rocks out of the little holes in the tang so you don't have anything in there when it goes time to glue up your scales. But this finish is exactly what I wanted. Just a beautiful stonewash finish. It makes everything stand out but not be so crazy. Now for the handle scales, we're going to take mallard green vulcanized paper liners, and we're going to cut them down because they are going to be sandwiched between this black 1/8 inch thick G10. I haven't done this before. I think this is going to work out pretty cool. I think it's going to have a cool effect in the end. So here's to hoping that actually comes out how I want it. And now we're going to go ahead, we're going to just get rid of the shininess on these scales. We're not trying to really sand it flat. It's already flat. This is just purely getting rid of that glossy sheen that is on these, because you want them to be a little bit roughed up to have a real good mechanical bond when it comes time to epoxy them together. You can see it right here, that sheen versus the dullness right there. We're going to be using our JB Weld 5-minute epoxy. And as always, I am the king of making too much. Eventually I'll start measuring this stuff out to make it easier. Now we're just going to put enough epoxy on these to just coat these pieces. You don't want to put too much on there because then you have a big mess with having a whole bunch of excess, and it's completely unnecessary to have a ton on there. You need just enough to create the bond. And I'll tell you, when it comes to clamping these, they're going to shift a lot. I had the pieces shifting, the little piece of wood that I had them on shifting. Everything was trying to shift on me. You know, you just take the time, keep them square as you're doing it, as you're tightening them. You want to keep them as square as you can just to make sure everything's where it needs to be as you're clamping them down. Alright, so let's go ahead and wrap up today's daily vlog. So check this out. I love the way this turned out with that acid etch and stone wash on the blade, and then all of the hammer finish up here almost makes it look like stone. Love the way this is turning out. I like the size of the blade. I think that once we get the handle scales on there, this is just going to be an all-around great custom knife. It's going to be so cool. And then on this, of course, we're doing the black scales. We've got them gluing up right there. But I'm excited about trying this out. I haven't done it to where I've made the scales with the G10 and the vulcanized paper liners like this. This is something that I'm just trying. It's experimental. Hopefully it turns out awesome. But I think that it will, with the way that we're going to contour the handle scales. I think that having that extra just color right in the center of the scales is going to make it pop whenever we do all the contours. So I'm excited about trying that out, excited about doing that. Hopefully y'all are excited too. But tomorrow what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and get those cut out, drilled, and attached to this. And guys, that's the end of this one. Be looking forward to that tomorrow episode, because we'll actually start kind of seeing these things start taking shape with this. But thank y'all for coming by. If y'all would, give this video a thumbs up, share this video or a video I've done in the past that might have been your favorite. And if you would, bottom corner right there, hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell so you get notified for when we start doing that, plus a few of the other things we're going to do to this knife, and then of course the other knife builds. Thank y'all for coming by. Thank y'all for spending y'all's time with me. Y'all have an amazing day, and I'll catch y'all next time.